Hello, everyone. My name is Doug Welsby from Wicresoft, a Microsoft partner firm. We'll be telling you more about Wicresoft and our offerings later in this presentation, but we'll start with today's topic, Project Insights and Analytics with Project Online and Power BI. We'll be providing an overview of Microsoft Power BI with specific focus on data analytics with Project Online. Project Online brings significant value and improvements to organizational and project performance. And Power BI enables organizations to access and understand Project Online data. We will demonstrate how Wicresoft Project Insights solutions built on Project Online and Power BI permits data-driven decisions to be made. But before we get started, we have a few quick logistics items to cover with you. First off, we will not be opening the phone line for questions, and all lines will be muted during the webinar. We will, however, try to answer questions submitted in the chat panel. Also, at the end of the presentation, we will be providing our email addresses, so feel free to email us directly, and we will be sure to respond. Finally, if you're unable to stay for the entire webinar, we are recording this presentation, and we'll be distributing the entire recording to all registrants, as well as posting this to our Wicresoft on-demand webinar site. With that, let's get started. First, I'd like to set the framework for business intelligence in the modern workplace and how this has evolved. The first wave of business intelligence was geared towards technical users. It was complex, highly technical, required individuals with a deep understanding of data, databases, and technology in general. This first wave was focused on IT, and IT staff were required to provide data access to end users. In the second wave, we started to see more of a self-service BI platform. There was less need to understand the technology, but end users still relied heavily on analysts to understand the data. With the third wave, what we are calling self-service BI, accessing and understanding the data is now truly possible for end users without the need for assistance from IT or data analysts. In order to become a data-driven and data decision-making organization, everyone needs access to data in a timely manner, in an easily accessible and understandable format. Today, we're going to discuss Power BI, which is the third wave solution. Power BI enables everyone to collect, analyze, visualize, and publish data. This third wave has the potential to expand the reach of analytics to more users than ever before. Existing analytics platforms and tools can be extended instead of being replaced by full-featured solutions like Power BI. Power BI directly connects to existing on-premises data, such as analysis services tabular models that were created by business analysts in collaboration with IT. Microsoft Excel and Power BI Desktop work hand in hand with Power BI, publishing reports and models created by business analysts and placing them in the hands of business users who can gain insight and take action. In order to achieve this third wave of BI, we do have to address some challenges that we've seen across organizations. The first being data residing in disparate locations. When you have data in different databases and different formats, accessible via different applications, it's very difficult to get a consolidated end-to-end view. In order to see a complete picture, IT staff are often needed, as this requires a significant amount of effort and knowledge. To add to this, the second challenge that we see is that data sources are now often in software as a service solutions and other external locations, adding to the complexity. You know, have on-premise systems, software as a solution systems in the cloud, and consolidating and providing access to this data becomes increasingly complex. Finally, the third challenge that we see is that users with differing organizational roles will have differing needs for data access. If you were to generate a report for a financial analyst, it may look very different than a report generated for an executive or a staffing manager. So organizations need to reduce the time spent on developing reports manually and focus on providing real-time access to data for data-driven decisions. Business users cannot wait for analysts to create these reports or for IT to develop solutions for bridging data from these disparate systems. So what if there was a better way? Instead of viewing your data like this in a complex, data overloaded series of Excel spreadsheets and reports, like many organizations are drowning in, which is very difficult to translate into meaningful, understandable information. And this is key. We all have this data and need to make something of it to make decisions from it. And yet when the data is just bits and bytes and data overload in Excel, it really doesn't mean much to a business end user. So a lot of organizations took this to the next step with Excel add-ons, or what we call Excel on steroids. It was a good first step in that data was being represented visually to the audience through a series of free add-ons such as Power Query, Power View, Power Map, etc. But what we believe is necessary is to take it to the next step. So what if you could view your data in this type of format, where it's visual, easily understandable, where consuming the data is simplified, and where you have what we call actionable insights? What if you could view not only the current state of your business, but could view this context in the context of past performance and could see data trends? In the context of project management, this is critical. Being able to analyze performance trends to see if we are trending in a positive or negative direction and make data-driven decisions based on this information takes your project management to the next level. Now let's take this a step further. If you have this historical trend data, you can now predict and forecast future performance with greater certainty and accuracy. You now have a complete picture, where your projects are today, how that compares to where you were in the past, and how you forecast your future project management performance. This complete picture is what your organization and your project management office needs to truly deliver results and to improve performance and predictability. Now that you have this data easily accessible and in an understandable format, let's share it with others. Instead of sending email with attached Excel documents and potentially losing control over the security and integrity of the data, or instead of sharing data on a shared drive or cloud storage and worrying about access control in the upkeep and update of this data, what if you could share the data in a secure and accessible manner? Sharing data should not be complex or cumbersome. Power BI provides a simple interface to take the insightful reports and dashboards that you have authored and share these with other business users without requiring the assistance of IT or IT security staff. Imagine being able to receive alerts when, for example, certain thresholds such as costs, dates, or other measures are exceeded. Instead of viewing reports and finding out after the fact that your projects have somehow slipped, you are alerted in real time and can take immediate action. It's important also to understand that your alerts and actions are probably different than those of others in the organization. And with Power BI alerts, you have the ability to configure alerts based on what matters to you and take action when you think it's important. We are constantly hearing customers complain about having to manually generate status reports and presentations over and over again. And as soon as these reports and presentations are completed, they're out of date because this data is static. So what if you could embed these reports and live data into a familiar presentation tool such as PowerPoint? You can refresh the data, use it as a single source of the truth, and trust that the data being presented is not out of date and is current and accurate. So let's take this a step further. When we talked about the evolution of business intelligence, we talked about the reliance on IT staff and analysts to give us information and help us translate the data into something that is meaningful to business users. What if you could just type in a search phrase in order to access data in a manner as simple as using Google search for a restaurant or movie? For example, what if I wanted to find out information about average work variance on the different projects that I manage and visualize this in a pie chart? Power BI's Q&A features provide this capability. Type in the search or simply speak to Cortana to convert this into text and immediately get access to this data as simply as searching for a restaurant on Google. And last but not least, you have access to all of this data and the visuals provided by Power BI across a variety of devices and mobile platforms, enabling you to make your data-driven decisions anywhere, anytime, on any device. So I'd like to make sure that I share a few key aspects that Wicresoft feels enable organizations to get to that third wave or level of business intelligence and really start meeting the needs of today's modern workforce to make data-driven decisions. First is, stop making reports. People spend a lot of time building a report to meet the needs of one person or one group of users, but then you need to spend the same amount of time building another report for a different set of users. Thinking about databases instead of reports enables a much more scalable, data-enabled workplace that can meet the needs of a much wider audience, providing them with a single source of the truth, real-time savings, and analysis that is going to allow them to really understand their business. Next is, think Pinterest, not Outlook. Instead of emailing a report or emailing information or emailing a link, allow resources to use a centralized source of business intelligence information drawn from multiple systems and set it up in a visual manner which can be easily personalized. Instead of spending time building reports, allow your users to do it themselves. Think self-service. Finally, learn to tell a complete digital story. Regardless of your role in your company, and regardless of the number of systems that you are working on within your day-to-day activities while you're managing projects and work, you want to have one complete digital story with a 360-degree view of your business within one business intelligence platform. Forcing people to go to 5 different systems to view 5 different reports in order to drill into 5 different dashboards is not a modern workplace model. So today, we would like to introduce you to Wicresoft's Project Insights. Project Insights is a cloud-based analytics solution specifically geared towards enabling business intelligence for project management. Project Insights was designed with this third wave of BI in mind, enabling organizations to achieve modern and mature data-driven project management capabilities. Project Insights solves the same problems that businesses have struggled with for years, but with different techniques, tools, and features. Project Insights allows you to focus on what matters so that you can understand where you are now and what really matters. Insights allows you to stay in the know. As your business changes, your data changes. You need the most current data to make the most informed decisions. Project Insights allows you to spot trends. A picture says 1,000 words, and visual presentations of your data show trends and how your actions are aligning to your goals and objectives. And finally, Project Insights allows you to push your business further. You have a business to run and need to provide that service or product better than every other business. Power BI is Microsoft's business intelligence platform, and many of the features of Wicresoft Project Insights solution are built on this Power BI platform. Our Wicresoft Project Insights solution takes our extensive consulting and implementation experience, the reports that we have crafted over many years and thousands of consulting engagements, and packages these into a comprehensive and valuable reporting solution. I'll give you a quick overview of the various report types included with Project Insights, and then we'll turn to our Senior Product Manager, Matt Willey, for a live demo. Demand management. These reports answer what is the incoming demand in terms of focus, impact on resources, and alignment to your business strategy. Project portfolio status. These reports focus on your entire portfolio, providing high-level visibility to alignment and execution. Portfolio trend analysis. These reports will help you understand what's happening today compared to past performance and will provide predictive analysis for future performance. Portfolio financial status. These reports specifically focus on portfolio financials, including planned, actuals, and forecast cost. Resource status. These reports provide details about capacity and demand, providing the insights necessary to properly staff and deliver on projects. And finally, the Timesheet Analyzer. These reports are specifically crafted to address timesheet and status reporting compliance. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Matt, who will take us through a comprehensive demonstration of the Wicresoft Project Insights solution. So Matt, please take it away.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Doug. All right, so I'm logged in here into Power BI. Power BI is just one of the different applications that's part of the whole Office 365 stack. So you can see I have access to lots of other capabilities or apps, if you want to call them that as well. And the great thing about Power BI, as Doug was talking about, is it allows you to really connect up to lots of different data sources. So we can have just one place to go to get a personalized view of all the different reports, dashboards, and insights that I need to get access to, right? So jumping in real quick, for example, if I wanted to go get some data, I can hit get data here, and there are many different options. There are different services that we can connect to, files, databases of all types, lots of different data sources. Specifically under the services, I mean, there's a huge list in here of everything from Project Online, which is the data source of many of the reports that we'll be showing today, to other tools like Jira, for example, or TFS, or Visual Team Services if you're using the cloud version of it. So all different types of things, to Google Analytics and Azure Backup and AT&T Internet and all different types of things. So really the sky's the limit as far as the, connecting up to the data and then making that data available to the right people. So once you've connected up to the data and you make the data available to the right people, then we can start to do things like craft dashboards. Dashboards are generally either role specific or even personal dashboards if you have access to create your own personal dashboards. So for example, if I am a portfolio manager, I might have a dashboard very similar to what I see here. If I'm a project manager, I may have a different dashboard that shows things that are more relevant to my project managers. Resource managers may have their own, so on and so forth, executives, etc., right? And so we can set up these role-based dashboards that have behind them all of this data that I need access to. And from here, this is really my portal into all that data. So I have some key visualizations here already set up for me, ready to go. So I can see things like, if I'm a portfolio manager, I want to see things possibly like portfolio cost and risk and ROI, maybe strategic bubble charts of risk versus ROI, status of different projects that might be going on. And these are more traditional waterfall type metrics, but what if we also have agile projects going on? We can have combined views of both our waterfall and agile projects, which is actually what this is doing over here. This is all of our projects, for example, in the project status. But I can also write on the same dashboard without having to go, say, into an agile tool to go see agile-ish types of reports, if that's a word. I can see things like sprint burnups or burn downs, bug trends over time, cumulative flow diagrams, so on and so forth. And so really, if we can craft these dashboards to meet the role and give access to the information that you want to see. From here, there are lots of cool things you can do. For example, these dashboards are all available via mobile applications, so like through your phone or your tablet, and I can actually switch here to what the phone view looks like of this particular dashboard. So notice it's responsive. It's showing me the same things, but here in my phone view. And you can actually then move these things around and make updates to this to adjust for the phone view right from here just by dragging and dropping and such. And so it's really, really easy to make this a really nice experience on all of your mobile applications as well. I can favorite my favorite dashboards. I can even come in and, as Doug showed before, I can ask a question about my data. And that's going to allow me to get access and to see things that aren't necessarily already pre-built for me. So as Doug was saying, to get to that third level, one of the things we want to do is make the data available to people and make it easy to get what they need out of that data. So we don't have to constantly build reports for each individual person that aren't reusable, right? It's a lot of extra efforts and time for not a lot of value sometimes. So if I wanted to use that, I can come in and there are lots of different things I can do, and it's even giving me a bunch of examples down here of things that I might want to do. But I can really just start to type in a question. So let's say I'm interested in issues across our projects, and that wasn't previously on my dashboard, but I have access to the data. I can say show, let's just do a count of, and notice as I'm typing, it's kind of helping me out and it's showing me things here, right? So I want to do a show count of issues by project. Let's do something like that. And so it didn't go out and just like find a report that already existed. It actually created this based off of what I just typed in. So very much like if you were doing a Bing or a Google search, like a web search, you type in what you want and then the results come up. It's the same type of thing here. From there, though, I can then change this and go, actually, you know what? I want this to be a pie chart. And I just type in pie. Now it's a pie chart. Or I want it to be a column chart. I type in column. I didn't even type it right, if you see, but it figured it out that I wanted a column chart. Maybe just a list of the data by itself, right? And so you can come in, get the report the way you want it. If you want to get a little fancier, you absolutely can. And you can come over here and you can change fonts and colors and styles and conditional formatting and drill-ins. And there's all kinds of cool things that you can do if you want to get fancy. But if you're really just looking for a basic, simple report, and you're not the most technical user in the world, you're more of a business user, it makes it really quick and easy to come in and be able to get access and create the reports that you want, right? From there, I can then hit pin, and I can pin it back to any of the dashboards that I have access to update, like my personal dashboard or others that I may be in charge of. I can pin it back to those things, and from that point on, I now have this new visualization that I just created just by typing in a quick question that will then show up here in my dashboard from that point on, right? So it makes it really, really easy to get access to the types of reports I want without having to do a lot of effort, right? Cool. From there, though, as I'm looking through my dashboard, if I want to drill into something and I want more information and I want to be able to filter and drill in, drill out and get down into the details, I absolutely can. This is just kind of a high-level overview of what's going on. I can click on any one of these, like, say, this portfolio status report here. I can click on this guy, and it's going to drill me into that particular report pack that's all focused around portfolio status, and I can start to get a lot more information. The kind of homepage view here that we're seeing right now is more of an executive overview showing me all of the different projects that we have going on right now. We can group them by portfolio or departments or however you need those to be grouped together, program, whatever makes sense. And I can see here the KPI status of these different projects. So I can see, for example, how are we doing from an overall perspective, schedule perspective, work, resources, costs, issues, etc. And up at the top, I see, okay, 3 of my projects are at risk, 14 are over budget, 16 are behind schedule. We have some active risks and some overdue issues, right? And if that's enough for me, great. I got enough information. I can come in and see what projects are doing good, how many projects are off track, great. If I want to, I can keep going. I can keep diving in. So I can utilize the filters over here on the side, for example, and I can filter this down, and maybe I just want to look at my problem projects where overall health, say, is either red or yellow, and just focus in on those. Very easy to use my filters on the side to filter into those things. Or maybe I just want to see all the projects for a particular portfolio and just focus in on one portfolio of projects and see how how they are doing, right? Using my different filters, filter down, look at the set of projects that I want to look at. And then across the bottom, there are many different tabs. So for example, if I tab into my schedule tab here, what this is showing me is all the same projects, but it's showing me more schedule related information, things like duration variance. How far are we off from what we said we were going to do? How far are we off track really from a schedule perspective? So we can dive more into all the different types of status. We can even get into Gantt or timeline roadmap types of reports within here. We can get into cost information and budgets versus actual costs, what's remaining, so on and so forth for all of these different projects. We can even do time phase data, meaning I can see budget versus actual cost is what we're looking at here by quarter. So for each of these quarters, I can see our budget was this, our actual cost for this. And as I mentioned before, a lot, if not most of these reports are drill-in capable. So if I come here and I click on Q4, it will drill in and then show me October, November, and December. If you're tracking down to a more detailed level, you'll say your cost, for example, I can drill in again and even see that by day. And so the really cool thing is I started out at a high level dashboard, I worked my way into an executive summary, and with just a couple of clicks, I got all the way into cost by day without having to do a lot of work and create a bunch of other reports and have all kinds of things going on. I'm just clicking in and drilling in and going down to what I want to see, right? Moving on, we can then see work information. So we estimated we were going to spend this much work or this many hours doing these projects. Here's what we've actually spent so far and what's remaining and what's the difference. And I can even see that by over time as well, by quarter, for example, and drill in, drill out to whatever level that I want. And I can even get visibility into detailed risks for these projects as well as issues. And everything on these pages are connected together. So for example, I have my issues by priority pie chart up here. If I was to click on the high priority part of my pie chart, it will filter down and just show me those high priority issues. So I can really keep drilling in all the way down to a particular high priority issue if I wanted to, again, with just a few clicks, right? From here, we may want to share these reports with other people, and there are lots of different ways that we can do that. So I can come in and I can hit File, and I might say I want to print this out, and I could print this out to PDF or to a piece of paper. I could publish this to the web, which is going to give me a link that I can then share with other people, and they can just use that link to come access this exact version of the report. I can embed this into SharePoint is a really nice option. So if you're using SharePoint on any of your SharePoint pages, like the homepage of one of your SharePoint sites or your company intranet portal or whatever it might be, we could post these different reports right on there, and they're live working reports where you can click around through the different tabs and such. So it's a really cool feature. There's a PowerPoint feature if we wanted to get this out into PowerPoint, and I'll actually show that a little bit later. That's one that seems to be pretty popular because it helps save a lot of time if you're building PowerPoint presentations with different reports. I could even subscribe to this, and so I want an email of this every day with the latest data, that type of a thing. I can come and do that. And there's also alerts built into this. They call them data alerts. So I could put an alert if any of these projects goes overall status turns red. I want to be alerted. So I don't have to come in here and necessarily even check every day what's going on. The system, Power BI, will alert me and say, hey, this project is now red, and here's a link to the report. You might want to go check that out and drill into some details if you want to, those types of things, right? So it's this really robust interactive experience that's not just giving you a report that someone printed out for you. It's allowing you to drill in and drill out and subscribe and get alerts and on your phone and everywhere, and it's really taking it to that next level, right, to that third level that Doug was talking about. So with that, let's jump in and take a quick look at a few more key types of reports within here. So within the Project Insights report pack, as Doug mentioned, there are a lot of different reports. I'm not going to go into all of those today, but I can jump into a couple key areas. One thing that I wanted to show here real quick was that we can do trending over time. So instead of just showing, what's the status right now, I might want to know how has the status changed over time and what has changed. And so there are some really cool insights we can get from that, understanding, that things went from doing well to getting worse, or they went from bad to getting better is good to know, right? We want to know if we're getting better or if we're getting worse and what happened to make us get better and get worse. This guy right here is a cool one. You can actually click on each point in time, and it's going to tell you what happened. So it's saying cost increased by 100K, work increased by 914 hours. At this point in time, we've reset our baseline, and so on and so forth. So it's actually tracking what's happening in the system and plotting those on points. And so not only can I see the data changing over time, but I can actually get some notes or some, explanation of why that's changed, right? So there's some really cool ways that we can expose that and be able to get really good visibility into how things are changing over time. And that's just one particular example. I'll show you one more really quick here, another popular one. So over here, if I come in and go into my project health tab, what this one is doing is it's showing me all of my different projects, and it's showing me the health comparatively to last month. So this month it was green, last month it was red. So we can see how those things have changed over time. And then it's broken out into different categories here. So which ones are red today, which ones were red last month. So we can see, hopefully we don't have more, we do have more. So a few more projects showed up in the red area. How many projects status have changed since last month? So I can just focus on the ones that have changed, not worry about the other ones that I've already seen, for example, those types of things, right? So you can really come in and get lots of different visibility into what's going on. One more really popular report, I'll just bring it up here fairly quickly, is the resource management report. So if I'm looking, say, as a resource manager or department manager, and I want to get some good insights into what's going on from a resourcing perspective across all the different work and projects and operational work and such that's going on, and understand who's overallocated, who's underallocated, who has availability, right? These types of things, I can come in and do that. So looking over here, say on the right, I can see my top allocated resources. Grace Williams is at the very, very top. Grace is 290% allocated. She's showing up red here, and you can see why. We're giving her about 3 people worth of work, and she's only one person. So that's obviously a problem, right? From there, I can start to drill into these things, and I can filter this down, and so on and so forth. So maybe I'm just interested in my business analysts. I can focus in on that specific role, or just my developers, or my developers and my business analysts, so on and so forth, and pick what I want to look at. I could even get down to just a specific person. Like I want to focus in on Grace, for example, because obviously she's having some problems. So I can come here and I can pick Grace, focus in on her, and just see how she's doing, right? Once you get it filtered down, again, you can utilize the different tabs across the bottom to get into all the different types of resource status. Things like resource utilization. We can see, are we utilizing our resources properly over time, or are we over allocating them? Or in this case, you can see we're under allocating them. This line up here is my capacity, meaning how much of capacity these resources have for work. And so we want to try to get as close to that as possible without going too far over or too far under. And so as you start to assign people to work or operational work or whatever it might be, projects and such, that is going to build up this bar right here. And so if this bar goes over that line, we know that we have allocated too much work to this team, or all the different resource or resources that I've selected within that particular period of time. And we need to go in and do some adjustments and figure out how we're going to handle that. If the opposite happens, like what you see here, if we haven't allocated nearly enough work to everyone, probably doesn't happen that often, but if so, you can get visibility into that and understand that we're not utilizing our resources properly. We're not getting as much value out of them or as much work out of them as we possibly could, right? So we can start to get lots of insights into that. I really like this view here as well. This one's grouped by role, so we can see resource allocation, how available or not they are basically by role. But again, most of these are drill-in capable. So if I wanted to come and click on my support role here, it will drill in, show me all of my individual support people and how available or not each one of them are, right? So you can start to see how you can go through all these different tabs, and we can drill into the right areas, into the right resources or the right projects, or there's financials, so on and so forth, and really get down into the details and have lots of different ways to get access to that data over multiple different devices. And that's really the power that Power BI and Project Insights brings to the table, right? So if I'm looking to get visibility into lots of different things, not even necessarily just your project or resources or financials or those things, really anything, the sky is the limit. As long as we can connect up to that data, and there are many different types of data connections available, then we can bring that in a more real-time basis and give people access to this data at their fingertips without having to be gatekeepers and always saying, here you go, here's your reports, and having to go manually do things to do that, or export things to Excel and mush data together, and so on and so forth. Once it's all set up, it all just flows and everybody can get what they need. Very last thing that I'm going to show here, because I mentioned I was going to show it earlier, is PowerPoint. Let's say every week I have to do a presentation for a group of stakeholders or executives or whatever it might be, and I need to put together a PowerPoint presentation because that's a good way to be able to get some information across and put an agenda together. And I want to include some reports in my PowerPoint. Traditionally, you would go in, you would run that report, you would take maybe a screenshot of that report and try to somehow smush it into your PowerPoint slide here, and have to do that every week, which could take you, a good amount of time. Instead of doing that, what I can do is I can come here and I'm going to go insert from the store, and there's an app, a Power BI app that I can insert into PowerPoint. By the way, this app doesn't just work with PowerPoint, it also works with Word, Excel, all of the different main office applications. And it even works with the online applications. So if you were using like PowerPoint Online, for example, this will still work. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to search for Power BI. This is a free app, assuming you have access to Power BI already. There's no extra cost for this app or anything like that. That's what I'm saying. And then I can come in and I can hit insert. And what it's going to do is it's connecting up to Power BI for me here. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see that better. Let's just expand this out here. And it connects into Power BI, and it's showing me all the different dashboards and reports that I have access to. So for example, that resource report that we were just looking at, I can come in, grab that guy, and it's going to load that up right here within my PowerPoint slide, but it's actually a live working report. It's not just a screenshot. And so I can now come in and I can click around through all the different tabs and use my different filters over on the side, just like I showed in the drill-ins and the drill-outs, and everything is all actually usable, just like it was over in Power BI. Then next week, instead of having to go and rebuild this whole PowerPoint, so I'd put in all my slides with all the different reports I want, instead of having to go take new screenshots and rebuild this over and over again, I simply just hit refresh, and it's going to pull in the latest data, and then I'm ready to go and walk into my report or into my presentation and have everything ready to go at any point in time. So there's lots of really cool features like that, and I just started to show some of them, but there are lots of other really cool things that you can do, and we'd love to talk to you guys about your requirements and figure out the best way to be able to meet your reporting and BI needs. So with that, I'm going to turn that back over to Doug for just a couple more finishing slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. There you go, Doug.
Thanks, Matt. That was fantastic. So now that you have a deeper understanding of project insights for data-driven decisions with Project Online and Power BI, let's talk briefly about how Wicresoft can help your organizations get up and running quickly so that you can realize value and adopt this strategic approach to project and portfolio management. Wicresoft has a great deal of experience, over 20 years in assisting customers in realizing value with project management solutions. We offer a variety of approaches, ranging from a pre-configured best practices kickstart solution to tailor-made custom consulting and implementation services. We're very proud to be one of only a handful of triple gold Microsoft certified partners. In addition to deployment services, our training and ongoing education offerings ensure your project managers, resources, and executives know how to use Project Online and the processes we have helped you design. Our eAcademy courses offer ongoing refresher training and education for new employees who need to get up and running rapidly. And if you need support, we offer 24/7 phone support for Project Online and our entire family of Wicresoft applications. As a special offer, please reach out to us to ask about our free PPM assessment and roadmap, or to obtain a free trial of Project Online. And if you'd like a custom one-on-one demo tailored to your specific questions and business needs, we're here to help. So thanks for your time and attention today. Please take note of these websites and email addresses where you will find additional information and be able to connect with me or with Matt. We look forward to hearing from you. And should you have any additional questions, Matt and I will remain on the webcast for a few additional minutes to provide answers. Please go ahead and type your questions into the Q&A panel and we'll address them over the microphone. Doesn't look like there's any questions coming in. I'll wait another minute, and if there's nothing further, we'll wrap up the webinar.